the Eclipse. And let's create a new project for this week, week number 7. Okay, week number 7, and then hang on. I'll leave this. Okay, let's create a new project for this week. Okay, File, New, Java Projects. CSE114, Spring 17, Week 07, Lab 1. Okay, for today. Finish. So now let's think about how we can plan before we try to program. So this is kind of, again, a picture you have in your mind. Usually, you have two parts of your Java programs, two parts. So one part is you have something tester. And then on the other hand, you may have as many classes as you like. You have class, person, you have another class, and they have any class. Okay? You can have as many classes you like. But now you only have one main method in this class here, only one. Okay? This is where we define the main method here. Okay? That's kind of the thing we're going to maintain for the rest of the course. Okay, let's now try to do a person class. So new class and then person. No main method. Okay, no. Okay, let's now try. So let's document this class since that's our very first class to do together. So now we try to define a template for persons, which means we can instantiate as many person objects as we like later on. And let's think about attributes. So attributes that are, let's say we declare attributes that are common among persons. Okay, let's try the 4 attributes we talked about this morning. Integer age and string nationality with this similar coding in BlueJ, right? There's nothing that's incompatible. Everything's compatible. And then we have double weight and double height. We have 4 attributes here. Okay. So now we have to define constructors for creating new instances. Okay. Let's see how we can do it. Defined one or more constructors for creating instances. One or more. Okay, let me give you 2 options here. The option I showed you in the morning was something like this. I say the constructor must have the same name as the class. Okay, I'll document this as well. The names of constructors must match the class name. Okay, it must match. For example, if I say, let's say this, person, and now if I want to choose some parameter name, for now, please just choose some name that's not the same as the attribute. Okay, I can say integer new age, like that, comma, and also string new nationality. Okay, like this. Now, if I just modify this a little bit, if I change this to P, that wouldn't compile, right? It must match the name of the class. It must, okay? Case sensitive. So now, as we said this morning here, basically we have to somehow assign whatever value we get from the parameters to the corresponding attributes, right? That's what we say. You can refer to your notes, okay? I'm going to draw some diagram later on on the board, but not there yet. Age is assigned to new age. By the way, you should really know the difference between these two. They are different, right? line number 14, you're trying to assign the h value, which is attributes, to the parameter. That's not right. Not the right order. Okay? They're different. Okay? This is not correct. Okay. I'm gonna draw. Do some illustration in just a moment. So here you say, assign the parameter value to attributes. That's the right order. But the other way around is not good. Okay. And then we can do similar thing here. We can say nationality is assigned to new nationality. Like that. Okay? That's the constructor we talked about in the morning. Let me just give you another option. Let's say we can have another constructor where we're going to set the weight and height of a person. Okay? Only the weight and height. It's also possible. Okay? How you define the parameters for the constructor is completely up to you. Okay? Okay? You can say another version of constructor which initializes weight and height. Okay. So now we can have double new weight and double new height, right? So now you can kind of predict what kind of assignment we're going to do, right? We're going to assign new weight into the weight attributes and assign new heights to the height attributes, right? We're going to say weight is assigned to new weight, and height is assigned to new heights. Okay, like these two. So now we have two constructors, and I'll show you how to use them both. Okay, doesn't matter which one you use. If you use version 1, it's only going to initialize the age and nationality. The other two attributes will be left uninitialized. If you use version 2, only the weight and height will be initialized. The other two, on the other hand, will be uninitialized, right? Depending on which version you use. Okay, any question until now? Before I just show you how to create the instances. Okay? And now I'll show you some methods today. Okay? I'll talk about more about methods more formally on Thursday after the quiz. Okay, so now this is how we define a template. So far we got 4 attributes, and we also got 2 constructors. So let's see how we can test them. So we're going to need to have, so now we have finished with one class over here. We want to do some tests over here. Okay? It's different class. Let's see how we can do it. Let's go back to the package explorer here. Can we just create a new class and call that new class person tester? We're going to test about person, and this time with a main method. Okay, so now in this class over here, test the person template by creating multiple instances. That's what we're going to do. Okay? And don't worry about scanner. We don't need scanner for today. Well, at least for this exercise, we don't need it. Okay, how do we do that? So now in this case, we're going to, let's now review what we learned from the morning. Okay, let's do it again. Repetition is nice. Now, one thing I want you to review back in the elementary program. If I have something like this, if I say integer I, like that. Okay, how about this? Integer I is assigned to 23. I want you to compare this with this line here. When I say person, let's say Jin is assigned to new. Let me call the second version of constructor, shall we? Let's say new person. Let's say 80 kilograms and then 1.81 meters. Okay? In some way, these two assignments are doing the same thing, right? For both of them, let's compare them. Okay? because I don't want to make any special cases about understanding the new assignments. They are really the same. Okay? For both assignment here, both assignments change. Okay, let's say store the right-hand side into the left-hand side. Right? This is the right-hand side. In this case, it's 23. Okay? In this case, it's a new person object, right? And this is left-hand side. And in the left-hand side, we try to declare variables. Okay? Let's now compare. Over here, we say that you will store integer value only. Which means if we say I is assigned to quote 23, that wouldn't compile. We know that very well. Now over here, if you declare to say Jim is of type person, and person is a class we just defined. Right? What does that mean? That means it's going to store something. Well, what is that? Okay? It's going to store address of person objects only. Okay? That's what we said in the morning, right? So conceptually, okay, let's do it again. Okay? In this case here, we're trying to create a new person object, right? The new person object over here, somewhere in the memory, person, and then we have the 4 attributes. We have age, nationality, weight, and height, right? And then we're trying to pass. Again, let's see how this actually works out. Okay? Let's do it again. Okay? Now, can we just go back to the template, the definition? If you just go back to your person template class, can we have a look at this definition here? Okay, I'm going to copy that to the board. Okay? How do we really execute this part here? That's really important to see. So this is a call to the constructor. But what does it do? Okay, to see what it does, you have to look up the definition back in the class. In this case, we have person here, and then we have double new weights. I'll say NW, okay, just be lazy here, and then double the new heights over here. And notice that the assignment I did, I say weights is assigned to new weights. Weights is assigned to new weights. And the height is assigned to the new heights. Okay, over here. Now, of course, these two things refer to the attributes, which means we're changing something about the weight and height, right? So now let's see this. For this particular call, we are saying, for this particular change over here, we're creating an instance where the new weights should be 80, and the new heights over here should be 1.81, okay? Which means we do the following replacement. We're going to substitute this by 80 and this by 1.81. Not only that, every occurrence of NW will be replaced by 80. Every occurrence of NH will be replaced by 1.81. Right? So now, which means for this particular object here, we're going to do weight will be 80, height will be 1.81. And for these two, they will just be left with the default value. And for age, the integer is just 0. For nationality, it's string. For now, just take it for granted it's null, which means as unknown. Okay, so far so good. That's just a review of what we said in the morning. So once we create this object here, it's now important to understand what Jin is expected to store. Yes?
There's 4 boxes in the person chart. Is there a reason you only put 2?
Yes, yes. Yeah, you can see that over here. You can see that over here, for person, according to the template, we do have 4 attributes: age, nationality, weight, and height, right? Okay. But now the constructor we are calling here, we only try to initialize two of them. That's why.
So if you put like
Two factors. What about we do another thing? Okay. Can I try this another version for you? Okay. Yet another version of constructor which initializes all attributes. So there was a typo. All attributes. Okay, so now let's say person. Okay, integer new age, I say NA. Okay, new age, and then we have string new nationality, and then we have double new weight and double new height. So now this time the person constructor takes 4 parameters. Okay? So it's completely up to you what you want to initialize. Completely up to you. That was a very good question. Okay, let's try to do this now. Okay, you can say the age is assigned to NA. The nationality is assigned to NN. And also the weight is assigned to new weights. And also the height is assigned to new heights. That's just another version. Okay, you can also call that version if you like. Okay, so now let's see this. We have an object over here, but now what is Jim going to store? A very common misconception is this is misconception. Let's say if Jim is going to be a box and it's going to store something, usually people think you're just going to stick this entire object into here. That's not true. Okay? That's not how you should understand it. We don't really store the entire objects. Right? You have age, you have n, you have w, you have h, right? 1.81, maybe no, and 0. Okay? So this is not right. We do not store the object directly. We only store the object indirectly. Okay? Because we don't store the objects directly. Instead, this is the right way to see it. We somehow store the address of the objects. Let's say this is the memory over here. I just draw it again. And then somehow you have the person object here. Person object here. So you have age, you have nationality, you have weight, you have height. Okay, you can get on the attribute values yourself. Let's say hypothetically the address value 0x001. Doesn't matter. Okay? We're going to store this value here. That's how you understand in the lower level. Okay? Instead, we store the object indirectly. Indirectly, ID, that is its address. So this is wrong. This is right. And this is often confused with, for example, let's say in this case over here. If you have integer I, the way I drew it before, right, was to say I is like a box and then you put 23 here. That's true, only for integers or simple type, like integer, character, or boolean. Small multiplication, something here. And this one here is not right. Okay? For objects like this, we store the address. Yes. Well, I wouldn't like you to think about a pointer in C, because in C, for pointer, you can do some arithmetic with it, but not in Java. So just address. Yeah, I can think of just like address. Okay, so now, of course, that's how you see that from on a low level, or you can see it this way. Jim points to an object like this. Okay, that's how I would normally draw it. Drawing that is a little too tedious, right? So you can just do this. Okay, you got age, you got nationality, weight, and height. Okay. So as soon as you say equals over here, assign this. So this means the equals here store the address of the new objects in Jin over here, right? So now you might think, since it's an address, usually it's an address is a number. If you try to do something like this, to say Jin is assigned to, for example, some number 1, 2, 3, which is an address, right? No, you cannot do that. Java will disallow that. However, you can do something like this, which I'll explain later what it means. Let's say we got another person over here. I'll also do that on the board, on the Eclipse in the moment. If I just say another person here, what about Jonathan? And then I would say that's another new object. And then I would say person over here. Let's say 95 and then 1.72, for example. It's a different person, right? I said this is not valid. However, you can say something like this. Which I'll discuss more formally later. You can say Jim is assigned to Jonathan. What do you take a guess what it means? So here you can see that we have Jim over here, and we have another object here called Jonathan. Separate objects, right? So take a guess. What does that mean? Age, nationality, weight and height. And then it's going to be 95, 1.72, 0 and null. And this one's Jonathan. So now if I say Jin is assigned to Jonathan, we'll talk more about this later, but just take a guess. What's going to happen? Remember, let me give you a hint. Think about what Jin is. Jin is a variable that is going to store address of some person. Jonathan stores an address of some person.
Jim's address will be Jonathan.
So how would that change the diagram though? So somehow you want to change what is stored in Jin. Jin is currently storing the address of this person objects. And Jonathan is storing the address of this object here. I want to store this address, I want to store the address of this person object here into Jin. What's going to change? Am I going to change the object here? Well, I'm going to change the arrow. The arrow, right? What this will do is Jin is not going to point to this object anymore. It is going to point to this. So now that means, now when you talk about Jin and when you talk about Jonathan, you're talking about the same person objects after this assignment here. This is something so-called aliasing. They kind of borrow from the real life analogy. Usually for criminals, they actually have more than one identities, right? But now here we got one object here, which has more than one names. But we'll talk more about this. That's kind of very interesting. Okay, you can take notes, more like a preview. Okay. Again, so what my point is, you really want to compare to really understand these two things are kind of different, but they're also the same to some extent. They're both doing assignments. Yes.
So if Jonathan is assigned to Jim, the address in the Jim box changes.
Yes, exactly. So basically you're saying that whatever that is stored in Jonathan, which is the address of this person object here, we're going to store the address of this object here into Jim. That means Jim is now going to point to this person object instead, rather than this person object. Okay, let's now do a little bit more experiments in Eclipse. Okay. So let's go back to person tester here. Let's create a Jin. Person Jin is assigned to new person. Let's do exactly what we said, and I'm going to show you something. Okay. So now let's say here we got 81.81. 1.81. Okay, and then we got another person here, person Jonathan, new person 95, 1.72. Okay, two-person objects. Jim stores the address of a person object with weight 80 and height 1.81. On the other hand, Jonathan stores the address of another person object with weight 95 and height 1.72. Okay, you can type that first, okay, and then we'll go on. And we'll see the debugger in just a moment. We'll do that. I want to do this assignment in Eclipse. We'll do that a little bit later. So that was just for a preview. Okay. So now let's see what we can do. So now let's try to print out something. Okay. Actually, what about we do the breakpoint right away? So can we put a breakpoint over here? Okay, you can right beside person Jim is assigned to new person, right? Let's do that. Let's run the debugger. So now we're at this point. You can see the variables over here, right? Nothing there yet because we have not created Jim yet. Okay. So now if I say step over, it is going to execute the 3 steps I mentioned in the morning, right? It is going to create a new object over here and then assign that address to Jim. Let's try that, step over. We do have a Jim over here, right? Let's take a look at that. This one here, by the way, over here, this is so-called the address of person. But of course, you don't have to know the value. You don't have to understand the value, just know that it's an address, okay? Jim, and then if you expand this, you'll see age remains to be 0. We haven't initialized that yet. And the nationality also null, just unknown for now. 1.81 for the heights, 80.0 for the weights. Okay, that's kind of expected, right? Let's go back to let's step over again. Now we want to also create Jonathan, okay? Step over, so now we see that in the variables over here, we have 2 objects. Okay, there's one thing I want to show you first. If you move your mouse over Jim, you will see there's an address here. Can you just remember this one temporarily? 6D9C638, something like that, okay? Just for now. If you look at the one for Jonathan, at least you can see that they're different, which means they're different objects of the person. Of course, you don't have to make sense out of the address value, you don't have to. As long as you can tell they're different, then you're fine. So now for Jonathan object here, it's also a person object. And it has 1.72 and 95.0. Okay, that's good. Let me go back here. Let's go back to the let's try to print out something. Okay, you can say system.out.println. You can see address store in Jim. Simply just Jim. Remember, let me just draw some analogy to you. If I say integer I is assigned to 23, if I say system.out.println I, that's going to give me 23, right? Whatever that is stored. But now, if I say system.out.println Jim, it is not going to print to me the entire objects. No. It is going to print out to me what is stored in Jim, which is the address. Right? That makes sense, right? Okay, let's see if that's really the case. Let's try that. Okay, there's some address over here. Of course, you don't have to understand the value. You don't have to. Okay, that's the address. Why don't we do the same thing for Jonathan? The only thing we gotta double check is they should be different addresses. Address stored in Jonathan. That'll be Jonathan here. Okay, and then if you do that, you can at least see the addresses are different, right? As long as you can see that, then you're fine. Okay? Okay, we can, okay, after this, so now the question is, how do we print out the contents of the person object, right? How do we do that? I will show you a more systematic way a little later in the course, but for now, we can just go to some particular attributes and print out the value. That's what we can do. Okay, let's try that. You can say system.out.println. Let's say Jim's age. Let me just do another line here. Jonathan's age. Remember, that's what I said before. Every person object has something in common, which are their attributes. So both Jonathan and Jim, they have some age, but the values might be different. Okay, let's try that. And what we're gonna do is to use the notation called dot notation. So let's get rid of this. So for example, I can say, let me explain again. If I say Jim dot age, also Jonathan dot age. Again, you can see that these two are the attributes. Attributes of person. And these two are instances of person. Instances of person. And the dot over here, loosely speaking, I'll define a little bit more precisely in the lecture. Okay? Loosely speaking, that means go to the instance and look up the attributes. So for example, in this case here, the instance we are talking about is Jim. Go to Jim, look up the age. For this line here, go to Jonathan and look up the age. That's why for line number 1 over here, we'll go to the, okay, let's forget about the assignment here, okay? Just to keep things clear. Over here, for the first line there, go to the object that is pointed to by Jim. Look up the age, which is 0 in this case, right? Which is not so exciting, it's 0. And this one here, the second line, go to the person that's pointed to by Jonathan and look up the age, which is also 0. This case, that's okay, they're the same. Okay. What about we try something different? Okay, let's try. You can put any attributes over here that's defined in person. What about just the weights? Now for line number 1, go to Jim object here, look up the weights, 80. Okay. Now go to Jonathan and look up the weights. That's going to be 95. Okay. Let's try both. Okay. Which means sometimes some values might be different. Some values might be the same. Okay. Jim's age, you're going to say plus Jim.age. Here you would say Jonathan.age. You will see that they are both 0 at the moment because in the constructor, we did not actually initialize the age. That's okay. That's expected. We'll change the age in just a moment. Okay, can we just do another one? Let's look up Jim's weights. Jim.weights. Okay. Now you can imagine what I'm going to do now. I can just copy this line here. I would say Jonathan's weight. And then I'll put Jonathan here. Over here. Okay. Now they will be different. Go there, right? One is 80, the other one is 95, right? That makes sense. Because over here I put 80. And because here I put 95. That's why they're different. Let's see. Now I want to define something that's more useful. Because in some way, these attributes are like variables. Their values might change as we go on with our program. Let's see how we change them. How do we change them? We're going to define methods. So I will show you, before I introduce you more formally, I'll just show you how to define methods. Okay? methods, this is what you should have in mind. So there are two kinds of methods you have to get used to. So when you talk about methods over here, so whenever you want to do a method, you might take some input, and then you might return some output. That's easy, right? Just input and output, and do some Java code over here, conceptually. Okay? But now, the complicated detail is, sometimes there may not be any output. You may just want to change something without giving any output back. That's possible. Or sometimes they may not be input. You just want to calculate based on the attribute values. Okay? So now let me put it through. There may be no inputs. Which means only use attribute values. I'll show you in just a moment. Okay, that's one case. And then you can just put, for example, I'm going to show you how to get BMI. And then there may be no output. Which means we want to modify something, which means only modify or change attribute values. Okay, for example, I'm going to show you how you can set the, let's say, set the nationality. Okay, so I'll show you these two methods. Okay, you'll gradually get used to it. Okay. Okay, let's go back to our person class over here. Okay, let's define methods. Okay. One more thing to show you. There are two terminology you gotta get used to. When a method has some output, we call that. There are two names. There are two names you gotta learn both. Is getter or accessor. Okay, so these are the two names you just get used to. Getter or accessor. And that's also mentioned in the slides. I'll mention that to you later in the lecture. So when a method has no output, we call that setter or mutator. Mutator simply means that you want to mutate or change something. So these are just the terms you're going to get used to. Okay? Either to get something or to set something. Right? Get something from the output, or simply don't get anything, just set something. Okay, let's see. Now I'm going to talk about each one of them. So now we want to define a, let's do a setter first. Define a setter or mutator method that changes the nationality of a person. Okay, you may do that. Okay. Okay, let's see how we can do that. Okay. So now, when there is no output, you have to do something like this. Okay. You're gonna say, sorry. You're gonna say void. So void simply means no output. Returns no output. Okay. void, let's say set the nationality of a person. And you can say string new nationality. I'll say NN. Okay, save some typing here. Okay, so what do? We do something very similar to the constructor, which is gonna do nationality, which is an attribute, is assigned to NN. Let's try this one first and see what's gonna happen. Okay, before we go to the next method. Let's go back to test person tester here. Let's say we want to print out one more thing before we call the method. So Jim's nationality. And Jim dot nationality. So now let's see, what do you think would be the output based on what we have done so far? We have created two instances here, Jim and Jonathan. Now I say I want to print out the nationality of Jonathan or Jim. Values according to what I drew over there. Just now, right? Nothing. Just now. Okay. Because the constructor over here, you can see from the tester, only initialize the raise and highs. So these two are just default values, which means it's null. Okay, let's verify that. Okay, just null for now. Okay, let's do the same for Jonathan. And then we'll see how we can change that. Jim's nationality, Jonathan. Okay, we also got Jonathan here. Just make sure the instance is right. Okay, you can see that if we try that, also Jonathan's nationality is also null. Right, that corresponds quite nicely to the value. Okay, so now let's try this. Now I want to somehow, this is also something new. I didn't say that, didn't talk about this in the lecture today. So this method here is defined in the person template, which means every person can be applied this definition, right? Now I want to set the nationality for Jim and also for Jonathan to be different nationalities. Let's say I want to set the nationality of Jim to be British. I want to set the nationality of Jonathan to be Canadian, let's say. How do I do that? We also use a dot notation, just like this. I'm going to do that on the Java, on Eclipse, and I'll show you how that works on the whiteboard. Let's go back to person tester. Okay. Now let's do some printout, first of all. System.out.println. Change Jim's nationality to British. That's what we're going to do. Okay. And also, we want to change Jonathan's nationality to Canadian. To Canadian here. Okay, like that. Okay. Okay, let's see how we can do that actually. Okay. Similar. So let me call the method first. I can say Jim dot. If you say Jim dot, because Jim is a person object, so now Eclipse gives you all the options. You can see age, height, nationality, and weight. These are the attributes you can call, just like how I call the weights on the board, right? You can also call some method there. The one that makes sense to you now will be set nationality. Click on that. Now I'm going to give a value for NN. Remember NN was defined over here in the template, right? I'm going to show you that on the whiteboard in a moment. Let's say British. And I'm going to do similar method call. I can say Jonathan dot set the same method, but now I'm going to give a different input value. I'm going to say Canadian. First of all, let's try that, make sure that works, and then I'll explain to you on the board why this works. So now, can I just copy this line here? I want to print out Jim's nationality again to see if it is still null. It shouldn't be. The same line over here. I want to do the same for Jonathan. Can we just copy this line here to see what Jonathan's nationality will be after we change it? If you do that. That's, did I do something wrong? Jonathan dot nationality, Jim dot nationality, Jonathan dot nationality. Okay. Yes, over here. You see that? Change Jim's nationality to British. After that, we got oh, and you know what? I should highlight these 3 lines. Used to be now. After we call Jim does set nationality to be British, now it becomes British, right? Similarly, you can say, oh, this doesn't make sense. Jonathan's nationality shouldn't be that. I beg your pardon. So this one should be Jonathan. Okay, that's a typo, of course. Let's try it one more time. You can see over there, Jonathan's nationality initially was now. After we change it, it becomes Canadian, right? Let's not have a, I'm gonna explain to you in detail how this happened. Okay? Let's keep these 2 objects here handy, okay? And then let's now talk about how that happened. Let's now sketch the person class, the template. Class person, right? So you have some attribute over here. So I'll just say attribute. I just wouldn't write it now. And part of the definition is the set nationality. It does not return anything, so that's why we say void. And then we say set nationality. And then I'll say string nn over here. And then I simply say nationality is assigned to nn. That's the person. So now we have another class over here. This is a class person testing, different class. Okay, over here. So we have the first line, something like person Jim is assigned to new person, right? I'll just say dot dot here. You know what? You can look up the definition in Eclipse. Also, we have person Jonathan is assigned to new person with different heights and weights. Right? That's why we got Jim and Jonathan here, right? That's the setup. So now, let's consider these 2 lines and see what happened. When I say Jim dot set nationality here, and I give some value here. Remember here, it's expecting a string. I gotta give you a string for sure. Okay? I can say British. And then, now for a different instance of person, Jonathan. Dot set nationality. And we have Canadian here. Okay, these 2 lines. Now, let's see what's going to happen here. Remember, the way I explained about how you make a call to the constructor here is by looking up the definition for constructor and see how we replace each parameter value with the value, right? We do the same thing. Let's see how we do it. Now, when Java is trying to execute this line in the runtime, it is going to see, now you're talking about Jim object over here, referring to this object here. And then you're talking about this particular method here. Okay, so they are method of person. And these are instances of person. Okay, so the dot here simply means similar meaning here. Go to the object and call the method, right? Just call that on that particular object. Go to the corresponding objects and So now for this line over here, right? Let me just make a version, okay? Let's say, can we say this is number? We can use different color here. Can we say this is 1? Okay. This is 2. Okay, I'm going to use different color here. For 1 and 2, we are basically trying to call the same method on different instances. So because we are trying to call the same method, we're going to apply the same definition for the method back in the template. I'm going to show you how the same definition of template can make a difference because the attribute values are different. Because out here, so now for 1 over here, I'm going to replace nationality here by British. And then this one here also is going to be by British. And now, because I'm talking about Jim objects, so I should really apply this definition here to assign nationality of Jim to be, so this 1 here, to be British. Let's not worry about aliasing 1. Okay, so far so good? We're basically applying this set nationality here with the value British, right? And we're applying this definition here. So now let's talk about the second line, number 2. Number 2 here, we're calling the same method, but on a different objects. So now for this same method here, we're going to look up the same place. But now, NN will be replaced by a different value, which is Canadian, right? Number 2, Canadian. Over here, and then number 2 here, that will be Canadian. Which means for this particular method call to this set nationality here, we're going to go to a Jonathan instance here and then change the nationality to be Canadian. That is why after these 2 lines, when you try to ask about Jin.nationality, is going to be British. It's been changed already. And when you say Jonathan.nationality after this line here, it's going to say Canadian. Right? Any questions on this? Not many lines of code we are writing today, but many things to learn, right? So if you got questions, now time to ask. No? Are we okay? Good. If you're okay with this, I'm now going to show you another kind of method. Okay? So for this method here, we simply change the attribute values over here to be British or Canadian. Right? So I'm going to show you how you can call a method that's going to return something back to you useful. Let's say we want to say for Jim, we would like to get his BMI based on his weight and height, which is different from the weight and height for Jonathan. So the BMI value for Jonathan should be different. Okay? Let's try that. So now we're going to define in the person class another method called getBMI. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so no, not tester. Sorry. Let's go to person here, and then we're gonna have define a getter. Oh, by the way, you see the reason that this kind of method is called setter is because in the convention is in Java, if you're trying to change something, you say set something. That's why I say set nationality. That's why it's called setter. That's convention. And why it is called getter? Because I would say get BMI. That's why it's called getter. Or accessor. Method that returns something, returns some output value. How about that? I'll talk more about what kind of parameters you should put in the method maybe later in the lecture. But for now, let's say we want to return something used to be void, which means we don't return anything, right? So now, if you want to calculate BMI, what kind of value are you returning? Double, right? Returning a double here, get BMI. So now, what should we put inside this parenthesis here, again, it's completely up to you. But I would say, according to our judgment here, because we already know for this particular person, since we already know about their weights and heights, so we don't have to take care of we don't have to consider any extra inputs. Right? Before, if you want to set a nationality, you want to know what a new nationality is. That's why you need an input. But now in this case, to calculate BMI, you don't need any extra information. Okay? So now in this case, we can say, since we already know about the person's weight and height as attributes, no extra inputs are needed. So leave this empty. Okay, so now let's see how we can define this method here. So here's the thing, okay? So let's just calculate the BMI as we did in the previous tasks. So we can say double BMI is assigned to. Now we know that we can refer to our attribute here, right? The person has age, nationality, weight, and height. You can refer to any one of them, okay? You can say BMI is assigned to weights divided by height square, divided by times height. And here comes the most critical thing. This is how the getter usually is structured. You compute something, eventually return something. That means I want to return some output back. Return BMI. So the return here is mandatory. Okay? I'll talk more about the syntax a little bit later, but for now, that's your first example. We compute the BMI and make it available as output. That's why you gotta say return. If you do not say the return, it's not going to compile. If you say that, let's say I comment out the return. If you go to get BMI here, it says the method must return something. Okay, that's why you have to return something. Okay, so now I want to go back to person tester here and see what's going to happen here. System.out.println Jim's BMI. Okay, so now I can say the following. I can make a method called Jim.get BMI. I don't need any input, so just get BMI. Okay. I'll do a similar line for Jonathan over here. I can say Jonathan's BMI. Okay, I can say Jonathan. I'm going to talk about it again, on the board, just in just a moment. So now, once we have done this, let's try. Jim's BMI is 24 something here, and Jonathan's BMI is something different based on their weight and height, to 32. Okay, so that makes sense, right? Let's see how this was computed. Okay, that's also important to see. So what we did was we had a method in the template. So we say double, and then we say get BMI. Takes nothing over there, and then we say double BMI is assigned to the weights divided by the height squared. And then we say return the BMI. Okay, like that, right? So now let's expand this tester a little bit. Okay, you have got this already. So let's make a similar call. Okay. So now let me do another method call. I can say Jim dot print line, right? That's what we basically want to say. We get print line. And then we say Jim dot get BMI. Okay, it's a method call here. We got another line, print line. Jonathan dot get BMI. Again, you can see we have a similar structure here, right? You can see over here, get BMI over here. It is a method of person. they are instances of person, right? And the dot, again, similar meaning. Go to the objects and apply that KBMI definition. Let's see how that's going to do. Can I just say this is number 1, 2, and what about 3 here? And 4 here. 3 and 4. Let's see what's going to happen here. 3 and 4. 3 simply says go to Jim. For Jim here, we know that the weights and heights are there on the objects. I would say for number 3, we had to look up somewhere. We have weight and height, right? That's what we're going to look up. Which means we're going to replace the weights by 80. And the heights over here by 1.81. 1.81. And whatever value we get, we'll return. Okay? Did you get the idea? So that's number 3. Number 4 is going to be done in a similar way. So now, because number 4 here, we're trying to call the BMI method on Jonathan. So go to Jonathan. And we're going to look up, because for this definition here, we need weights and heights. So we look up the weights and height over here. That's number 4. We don't really change them. We want to go to the corresponding object there and look up their attribute values when necessary. Right? Number 4. So now, for number 4, we're going to replace the weights by 95. And the heights by 1.72 and 1.72. Right? Number 4. That's why, even though you're trying to call the same method, but the object you're trying to call a count, they're different. So that's why the return value from KBMI will be different. Because one is calculated using 80 and 1.81. The other one is calculated using 95 and 1.72. Any questions about this? No? Are we alive? We are, right? Or only me alive? Good. Okay, so now that's, let me see if there's anything else before I move on. I think we're done everything, I believe. You can see that there are more tasks over there in number 2 there. You can try. Why don't we try something here? Okay, let's try a little bit more. I don't think I can get to the 2-dimensional array solution for today. You know what I would do? I think we definitely want to get started with objects exercises. What I would do is this. So we have 2-dimensional array exercises. There are 2 of them. One is about how to calculate the distance table, remember? That one there. And also the matrix. I'm going to make tutorial videos for you. And you're going to watch them and get prepared for the lab test. That might be easier for you. You can follow your pace, right? That's what I would do. I'll try to make them available by the end of this week, which means Sunday, not Friday. I'll try to make them available. I'll let you know when they're available for you to look at. Okay, so now we have about actually 10 minutes. Why don't you try this? I'll let you try for about 5 minutes. You can see on page 4 over there. So we are done with number. Why don't you try 4 and 5? I want you to add 2 attributes there. One is first name, the other one is last name. And then you want to define 2 methods, which will return the first name and last name. And number 5, this one I'll do that for you in about 5 minutes. How do you add a new attribute, spouse? Okay, and then how you can marry 2 persons together. Okay, give it a try. Number 4 and 5. Okay, I'll do that in about 5 minutes. If I can try. Yeah, I'm coming.
Are these artists we have to do?
Yes, go ahead. I may just leave one copy for me. Yeah, good.